everything you've heard about monsters, about nightmares, legends whispered around campfires. All the stories are true.
It was interesting because they cast Lily Collins first as Clary, and I didn't know that they had cast her. I was total surprise. I like her a lot, and I think actually she's great, Clary. This is a good decision. But I didn't know, so I went on my blog and people were saying, "Oh, they've cast Clary," and I said, "Yes, I didn't, why didn't you tell us?" I said, "I didn't know," but I'm very excited, and that's great. And then they called me and they said, "Well, did you want to know?" And I said, "Actually, yes. I would love to. If you could include me in casting, that would be terrific." And so they said, "All right," and I thought, I didn't realize that I just had to call and ask. And so from then on, I think I became a pest because I would just call and ask for whatever I wanted, and sometimes they would give it to me and sometimes they wouldn't. But I decided there was never a harm in asking. And so I think that they wound up including me in a lot of things that they wouldn't otherwise have because they just didn't, I don't know if nobody told them that they were supposed to say no, or they just thought, well, sure, why not? So I got to look at all the props and the sets, and I got to consult on the casting, and there were a few things where I got to say, this is really important to me, and it's going to really be important to my fans, and you have to do this or you have to do that. And a lot of times they would listen.
What are you looking at?
They're working on the first book, and I'm thinking of it as a whole series and of things that are important. And so there are things where they would say, well, we don't have time to put this in, and I would say, if you don't put it in, then you're going to have problems later. How will you explain, this or this in the later movies? So, I don't want to spoil things too much, but I guess one of the things was one of the characters, Alec, is gay, and they were like, well, do we need to know? He doesn't date anybody in the first book, and I was like, yeah, but he does date one of the people that you meet in this movie, and it's a really important relationship, and it's one of the most popular among my fans. They're very invested, and it becomes an incredibly important part of the book, and if you don't introduce it, then how do you introduce it later? So they said, okay. So as far, absolutely as far as I know that is preserved.
Half angel, half human, beings of immense power.
I was very lucky, to have my book come out and be successful and it have a cast as diverse as it does, especially having gay characters. I think I read a study that there's 1% of books for teenagers have gay characters.
Okay.
So to have one and have it be a bestseller, it does make me feel very responsible. And I worry a lot about doing right by the characters and messages that I'm communicating. But I do think that the only solution to the problem is more books with more diverse characters and showing that they can be successful, and then hopefully we'll have more.
You are the key to our survival.
There's too many of them.
Have a look at faith.
I think that there's no chance that the violent situations are going to be toned down because one of the things that was the most important to Harold, the director, was he really wanted to do what he liked about it is the fighting, and so he made sure that the actors did all of their own stunts, no face replacements, no digital effects. Everybody had to learn how to sword fight and how to jump and do flips in the air, and so all of that is them.
Your mother is a shadow hunter like you.
I've been hunting demons across the world in their varying different forms.
Fantasy is an allegorical way that we process real life, and real life is dark, and real life is dark for teenagers, and I think a lot of people don't want to kind of accept that teenagers have to deal with things like depression and abuse and drug use and violence and all of that stuff. And so having a way to process it through reading fantasy can be incredibly useful.
Yeah.
It's never teenagers that tell me that it's